All right, guys, that was sketchy. You guys have got to join us today. We're here live. We are going over the new FRAG build, and we're plumbing it today. And we're also going to talk about the giveaway coming up here in, what, 8 weeks?
Yeah, come on.
So we're pouring ourselves a margarita. You should as well. So let's get them poured up, Jess. Come out.
Let's do it.
We'll see you guys in the studio. Back in the studio for another week of setting up a reef aquarium using the FRAG system. Like, share, subscribe. Jess, what are we doing today?
Well, it's Waterbox Wednesday, and we're drinking margaritas, so it's a good start. And we're also on week 2 of our FRAG build, which is all about plumbing and sump layout. So we're going to go over how to plumb your water box, you know, the setup of the sump, how it's used. Because we find a lot of people that maybe have never had an aquarium are very, I guess, scared of plumbing and sump and all that stuff. So we're going to make it really, really simple. Yeah,
so I want to tell a little story. When I first started in the aquarium hobby, and I've said this before, when I went to, I bought a reef ready tank right off the bat, and I went to plumb it. I had never plumbed anything in my life. So it was very intimidating. I didn't know what to do. I used the wrong fittings. I didn't even know where to start. So one of the primary things when we designed these systems is we wanted to make the plumbing really easy.
Yes, in my time, have plumbed many of tanks where you go to Home Depot, get the PVC. I've completely wiped out tanks with brass fittings and spent days and days plumbing with PVC and all that stuff. So those days are long gone, and it seems intimidating. But we're honestly going to show you like how fast and easy it is to plumb your water box. It comes with everything, and if you've never had a tank at all before, it's still really simple.
Yeah, for
sure.
But
we are doing FRAG build, and along with this wonderful 10-week build that we're doing, comes a giveaway.
A massive giveaway, you guys. So if you didn't watch the previous episodes, we're giving away a FRAG, this exact tank that we're setting up with the lighting, EcoTech marine lighting to be specific.
Yeah.
Because we did just launch the XR edition with EcoTech lighting, so we are giving that thing away. All you gotta do is head over to waterboxaquariums.com/FRAG. You're gonna hit this beautifully designed website by Keenan, and
Keenan!
and you're going to fill out some information there. You can get more entries by, subscribing to us on YouTube, following us on Instagram, liking on Facebook, visiting our website, as well as I believe there's referrals on there. So again, you share it with your friends, you'll get more entries. So it is an amazing giveaway.
It is, and it's really exciting to be able to now offer the XR edition and that being part of the giveaway. The 105 FRAG is an awesome 4-foot FRAG, or you use it for shallow reef. It's got so many different ways to use it. And then now that you can actually get it with Radions, amazing, absolutely amazing. And we're doing, and we showed this last week. Last week we did, receiving your water box and crating and how to get it in place. But also we kind of announced all the equipment that we're using on this. And it's not our standard build. This is like beyond. It is. It's using all EcoTech. And we got MP40s, we got Versas, we got everything going on this. That was really exciting. But in order to get to that point, you still have to plumb your tank. You still have to get it under, and understand how the sump system works and all of that.
Yeah, so it's really important to understand your plumbing system as well as your sump layout when you go to start adding equipment to it. So that's what we're going to run through today. And you guys got to stay tuned each week for this too, because we got a lot of big surprises coming. We got a lot of giveaways, plus the grand prize. So
I think we should go plumb a tank.
Yeah, we're going to do this for you guys live. So we're going to see you out there in the secondary studio, aka Waterbox headquarters lobby.
And a beautiful lobby indeed.
Yeah.
So for the FRAG, as we kind of showed last week, is we chose our spot very, we redid the wall behind it. Everything got this prepared for this tank to be here, and we put it in place. Show all that, but this week we've got to do plumbing. So with your water box, everything comes with the system that you need in your plumbing kit box. And what I want to do is usually lay out all of your plumbing in front of you to kind of show like how it's going to go before you even start assembling. It's going to make it a lot easier. So we went ahead and laid everything out here. And with your water box, and this goes for pretty much a good general rule of all of our models, is you have, and we're gonna pretend like here's like your glass of your tank here, and this is what's in your overflow box. So you have your return line here with your return tubing and your output and nozzles, and then you're gonna have two drains. This is your main drain that has the gate valve on it, and then this is your backup emergency drain. This drain allows you to have overflow of water if your main drain is clogged, if you have it closed too much, if you increase your flow. This is going to allow you to have all of that extra flow go down into the sump. And our plumbing is also designed to be completely, pretty much silent when you have it dialed in.
Yep.
And then one thing to kind of take note as you're unboxing your plumbing kit is on each of these parts that's going to go in the overflow against the glass is an O-ring. And this can easily be like fall out or be lost. So do be careful that you do not lose that. Keep that in place. You know, and especially make sure that it's there before you actually put this in the overflow box, or you will have leaks. Same on the other side that goes under is you will have a rubber gasket. All of these here also have like a union connection so that you could take plumbing off without having to take it apart in your overflow box. And there's also an O-ring in there. So always make sure you have all those parts before you start plumbing. Otherwise you will have water. We don't want that.
And so you guys, when we say ready to assemble plumbing, this is what we mean. You're not trying to figure out which elbows you need. You're not trying to figure out which additional parts you may need to set up. You're ultimately just making 3 connections and your plumbing's set up and ready to go.
So what we've chosen to do is there's 2 ways that you can plumb your tank. If you can move your tank away from the wall, if you have a large 6 foot, it might not be possible, but for this one we can, is you can actually plumb it one person right behind it. If you cannot, you can actually have one person holding in the overflow box and the other person like holding from under the sump. But we're gonna do it from the back just so that you can easily see how we're plumbing this. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and simple as this. So we are going right here. This part is going into the overflow box, and this is your return line with your gasket or your O-ring in place. And right through here, we are just going to hold the under the sump part in place, and you're going to just twist this. And basically you're hand tightening. You don't want to crank it with a wrench. You don't want to do any of that. Just enough that it is tightened by hand. And your one hand is holding under the sump while you're tighten from up and above. And we're going to do that for your main drain, which is going to be in the middle. Push that into place. And then
So Jess, I want to mention the way that you're plumbing this shows that even one person can manage this. Again, if the tank's up against the wall and it's final home, you're going to need 2 people to hold the top and then 1 from the bottom. So,
yes.
But this shows you how easy it is to plumb. It takes just a few minutes. I saw some comments that said it is, you know, that's a lot of pieces, but there's not a lot of
It's really easy.
assembly.
Like I said, those gone together. I want to kind of show you 2 differences. Is this is a additional part for your drains that goes further into the sump. You can install them after the fact or put them onto it as you install it this way. It's going to be a little bit easier. I just want to show you one pipe without. And then this is going to be your backup drain, just to show you how it lengthens this one pipe, which does help with any kind of like extra splash and bubbles and stuff as well. So same with this one, simply just going ahead and tightening it here. Twist, twist, twist. All right, like I said, we're just hand tightening into place for that one. So you see you have your 2 drains here, your main one with your gate valve, and then your emergency. This is going to be your return. That's where your tubing is going to attach to. And then I'm going to use, what am I doing?
These guys.
Yep, there they are. All right, so let me show you kind of something that a lot of people don't really know, is in your plumbing kit, you're gonna get 2 sets of nozzles. And it's 2 that we would call duckbills and 2 round ones. The round ones are also actually considered like flow accelerators. And what the ideal scenario is, when you look at your return line, it's off to the left side, well, right side, here. So when you put this T onto, this side would actually get more forceful flow than this side. So in order to help kind of even that out, on the side here that has the shorter part, you would put the regular output, which is this one here, the flat nozzle. For the other side that has a longer way to go, you would use the flow accelerator, and this is going to increase your flow on this side so it matches more evenly, so that you don't have one part of your output on your overflow box stronger than the other. There you go. Those twist in. And boom. Your plumbing is done. And we can move this off to the side. And then of course you just have your return tubing, which goes onto this barb fitting here. And it does include your hose clamps that you do want to use. These are plastic so they will not rust into the salt water, and you would clamp it up to there, and your plumbing is done.
No gluing, no cutting, super simple. I love it.
All right,
You wanna
remove
get
this out of the way. So now that you have your tank plumbed, we're going to go over how your sump is laid out and how the plumbing works through the sump system. So in your sump here, and this is going to be pretty similar for most of the Waterbox models, is you are going to have your main drain, which is the one with the gate valve. So this is going to take the water from the overflow box down into your sump, and this is going to be the spot where all the water drains into. And then will overflow into your sock chambers. This is your first one. It includes a mesh filter sock. Then it's going to go through the baffles and come into the second filter sock. This is your felt. And this is your sock silencer that actually runs your sock quieter. From here, the water is actually going to come into your middle chamber. And this is where you're going to put protein skimmers, reactors, heaters, a lot of your additional equipment, because it's going to be the largest chamber that's there. And from here, it's going to go over a baffle system, and all these baffles and sponges are helping to break up micro bubbles when your system's running. And it's going to go into your pump changer here. This is where you're going to put your return pump, and it's also where you're going to put your like ATO sensor. With the ATO chamber right here, this is where you're going to put your fresh water for top off. Right here, your return pump is going to bring it up through your return line and out into your nozzles. Simple as that.
Yeah.
You could do this in about 5 minutes. Never plumbed the system before. It's all pretty simple. It's going to give you plenty of room for all your equipment, all the stuff that you need, and it's an easy running system.
Yeah, I mean, so just explain that perfectly. You know, a lot of times when you're getting into like a reef aquarium and you're trying to decide between like an all-in-one or a system with a sump, as you can see, it's actually a relatively simple setup.
Yeah.
It's easy to set up and it's a simple design. And the primary benefit of this is it gives you more space for different types of equipment like protein skimmers, reactors, auto top off, so on and so forth. Hides it all down below the tank. It also helps with flow, you know, getting better flow within the display as well.
All right, so simple as that.
Can you switch back to the studio, Rich?
Yep. So we're gonna head on back into the studios, see if we have any questions. We're also gonna, you know, of course we have Ask Jess.
We do. Yeah, so I mean, I find that like a lot of times, you know, people are they're just more confused about it. And we've made it to where, fortunately, you don't have to think a lot about it. We also have, you know, on our website, we have like what we suggest as far as equipment and stuff to pair with it. So you don't have to think about, well, what pump and what skimmer fit in these chambers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we make it very easy, from the plumbing being just pretty much twisting together. There's no glue, there's none of that needed.
Right.
All the way to helping you kind of help, you know, figuring out what equipment you need, what lights would be best, even a lighting schedule.
Right.
You know, we've made it as simplified as possible because we don't want anyone to feel like it's overwhelming getting into a saltwater aquarium.
Right, there's so many options, there's so many different lighting systems, there's so many configurations that you can do with any single aquarium.
Yeah.
So we've taken, you know, decades and decades of combined experience, and we've put together these blueprints that really shine on all levels, whether you're keeping fish or you're keeping all the way up to the most difficult stony corals.
And then we're going to show you on a show how
Yeah.
you to do it all step by step.
Yep.
So I mean, it's kind of like the beginning stages. Is you've got to get the tank in place, you've got to plumb it, you've got to understand where your equipment's supposed to go, and how the whole thing works before you even start filling it.
Yep.
And you know, it seriously, I think pretty much on all the things builds that we've done, it's been about 5 minutes tops to plumb any of our tanks.
Yeah.
You know, 200 gallons or not, it's always been really, really simple. And that's what we want it to be. It's very easy to
3
understand.
connections on that thing.
Yes,
So
you pretty much
it's-
3 parts and pop in some nozzles and you're
Yeah.
pretty much done.
Yeah, it's really great, you guys. So what are you moving to next? Do you
I
want
got a
to?
couple questions from
Okay.
online. Do you want to get those?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
guys, we have some questions here. Keenan's going to put those out.
I'm not sure if the mic is working.
If his mic is working, maybe. If not,
Or
you're
I can,
repeating.
I can repeat it for you, Keenan, either way.
Okay. Why no micro bubbles? Is there a reason why you shouldn't have micro bubbles?
Okay, microbubbles are generally caused by water coming into the sump, protein skimmers, reactors. It's not desired. It's not. If there are not a lot of them, you're not necessarily going to be harmful, but they're distracting from the view of the aquarium because you have all these little dots floating around your water. A large amount of microbubbles actually will irritate corals.
Yeah.
So it can be detrimental if there's too many, but even a small amount of microbubbles completely takes away from that pristine, crystal clear view
It'll
that
drive
you
you
get.
nuts.
It'll drive you nuts.
Yeah.
You got this beautiful glass, and you've got all these little spots, you know, floating around in there. So you really want to avoid microbubbles any way that you can. And
Yep.
baffles are extremely important for that.
For sure.
Somebody noticed that we had light strips on the top of the tank. Question is, do they come with it, and is there, do they affect the tank in any way?
No, we put those on all of our tanks. There are some LED little strips that we get from Amazon, and they just help light up under the cabinet. It's not included, but it's a really simple, cheap way to kind of just give you a better view under there, and I think it looks really nice.
Yeah, it does. You turn it on when you're doing maintenance and stuff like that, so we don't run them all the time.
There's a disco feature if you're having a party, and it
Yeah.
just flashes
Yeah.
and moves.
What you see
so.
front, up here in the front too, is very similar to that.
Yep.
Just hop on Amazon. It's like controllable LED strips.
And they just
And they
mount with
daisy
some sticky
chain
tape.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, super easy.
Okay, had some people wondering the naming convention of our aquarium. So for example, that's a 105.4.
Give
What
you that
is
one.
the .4 for?
That's you.
Alrighty. So one of the things that's a great question, Keenan. Early on, we wanted it to be easy to differentiate our models based on gallons and length. Those are the 2 primary things people look at. So when you look at for instance, the FRAG 105.4, it's 105 gallons is the total system volume, and it's 4 feet long. So if you look at our 220.6, it's 220 gallons, 6 feet long, and that follows that same trend across all of our products, with the exception of the smaller nano.
The nanos
Aquariums.
and the peninsula is done as inches and inches, like of length and width. So like the peninsula is 7225, 72 inches long, 25 inches wide.
Yeah.
But most of them can figure it's the gallon, dot, length in feet.
Yeah,
So-
and on the peninsula, the reason we did that is because we're giving you the dimensions that it's going to be coming out into the space that you're occupying, opposed to the gallons and the length, because it's a little bit different,
Yeah,
room divider kind of situation.
absolutely.
Would you use plumbing clamps to ensure no failures?
If they're talking about hose clamps, then they are included. We have those on the return tubing, on the return line. That's the only place that you would need them. We include plastic ones. You probably could get something else if you wanted to, but those work perfectly fine to keep it in place and not have any things, because you don't want to use metal, it's going to rust.
Yep. Keenan, I actually have a question here that I'd love to answer,
Oh,
because I get
alright.
it all the time. So QS Reefer says, why are you using standard measurements but you use metric plumbing? So the transparent answer to that, because we get it all the time,
Yes, we do.
is Waterbox is sold in almost 30 countries, but the US is the only one using that standard type of plumbing. So it's not
We
used
are.
anywhere else. So
Everyone else enjoys our metric. US says why.
yeah, so unfortunately the US does have to do some adaptation if they want to customize it, but the reason is because majority of the world does not use our plumbing.
Yeah.
So
Perfect. Oh,
Another
yeah.
one
All
is
right.
the Sump acrylic.
Full glass, beautiful full glass. Just as beautifully constructed as our tanks, the actual display is. I think one of the nicest things about a water box, and a lot of times we find that we do this, and a lot of people do, is they actually keep their doors off. As you'll see, our doors were off on this one, and we'll probably keep it off through most of the build, is that the beauty of the tank and then the glass sump below, just nicely constructed,
Yeah.
looks really good.
It does.
It really does. There's none of the borders, there's no lips, it's just a beautiful rimless sump, and it just
Yeah.
adds to the whole look.
yeah, it does. It adds to the look, and also they're a little bit easier to maintain and keep clean.
Yes, you can scrape them of the algae that's going to
yeah.
grow. You know, I think they're a lot better, and it just looks beautiful.
Yeah, and Waterbox is a glass aquarium manufacturer, so naturally, with the glass sump.
Yeah, glass, glass, glass. All right, cool. So, I mean, obviously, like, I think anyone who's not had a tank before can kind of see the simplicity and how easy it is, and hopefully not be kind of backed away from having a tank with a sump. And we offer a lot of nice systems, all-in-ones in the cubes, that don't have sumps. But this is showing you pretty much for all of our other models how simple and fast it is to run a sump system. Gives you more room for the equipment, more
Yep.
water volume, more flow. You know, there's a lot of benefits to it, especially as you go with a larger tank.
And when you get the larger tank, buy yourself a cube too. You can have two.
There you go.
And guys, it is time for Ask Jess.
Yes, so ask Jess, email your questions in, let's do
Yeah.
this. Maybe, Keenan.
We're live, guys. We're live. We're live. Sorry, we caught Keenan off guard. We're live.
Come on.
Alrighty,
Right.
you guys. So if you want to, so we're answering questions live here with Jess every week. If you want to get your questions answered live, email them over to askjess@waterboxaquarium.com.
Bring it on. I'll bring them on to the show and answer them. I'll also write you back if they don't make it to the show.
Yep. So alrighty, the first question is from Bert. He says, where would you place a frog spawn coral, at the top of the tank or at the bottom?
It's a pretty open question, Bert. It does depend a lot on your lighting. If you have a really high output light, say you're running Radions or something like that, primes or more hydrous, is you're gonna have a high light output. Frog spawns tend to bleach under too much light. So if you have very high output light, I would say you're gonna go middle to lower. If you've got a little bit lower to moderate lighting, then you're gonna be able to bring it middle to higher in the tank. I think a lot of times with frog spawn, more important than light is, because they're pretty adaptive, is your flow. Is they need a good variation of flow. They don't need a stagnant one direction. They want to be able to move around. They've got kind of to clean themselves in slime. Is to use like a wave maker, like the NYOS or MP40, MP10, depending on the size of your tank. Is you want that randomized good flow, and that's really what's going to make them the happiest. I think more so than lighting sometimes.
Great answer. Alrighty, so the next question is coming from Peter. He says, hi Jess, I'm awaiting arrival of my Cube 20 to be set up as an SPS nano reef. I
Nice.
plan on doing small weekly water changes around 10 to 15%. Is there a requirement for me to be dosing trace elements back into the aquarium? If so, do I need to invest in a dosing pump system? Thanks, Jess. Love the show.
All right, man, you are going all out for your Q20, and I love it. Okay, if you're doing SPS in a smaller volume of water, the main thing is if you're using a quality salt. If you're doing a really high quality salt with a ton of trace elements, you're going to be better off, for probably the pretty good amount of the beginning to not have to do any dosing. Your salt with regular water changes is going to be enough for the trace elements and calcium and alkalinity for the most part if you're doing it weekly. As those colonies get bigger, you're probably going to have to start dosing just because their uptake is going to be much greater than you can replenish in the salt water, no matter what salt you're using. So at that point, you probably want to look into dosing, and on that tiny of a tank, a dosing system will keep it more exact because it can do a drop at a time versus if you're hand dosing, you're going to be dumping in more. So for a while, I think you could definitely get away with no dosing and weekly water changes, but you're eventually going to have to move over to some kind of dosing.
Yeah. Excellent.
Awesome.
So again, if you guys want to get your questions answered live, ask Jess at waterboxaquariums.com. Take advantage of it. She's got so many knowledges that it's
Knowledge is for days. All
knowledge is
right.
full of
I
knowledge.
think Keenan has some other questions.
Yeah, I have some questions here that are probably important.
Okay.
Somebody's getting their Peninsula 6025 tomorrow, and they're asking, am I
Yay.
gonna need to glue anything?
No. So there's no gluing in the plumbing. It is pretty much screwing together a couple of those connections, and you're ready to roll. Don't glue anything.
Don't glue anything.
Don't do it.
Leave the beautiful water box.
As is.
Yeah. We did all the gluing for you in the plumbing
Yep.
and the silicone seam, so don't worry about it.
Another question. For all-in-one tanks, where would you place an ATO supply?
So what you want to do for an all-in-one is you want to have your sensor for your ATO to be in the pump chamber, because that's the only place that the water level is truly going to drop for evaporation. You'd want to have your supply line from your ATO reservoir pretty close to that. There's not a lot of room to err. If you put it too far down in your chambers, it's going to take a while for the water to make contact to the sensor, and it might overfill it. So if you want to generally put the supply line right next to or very close to the sensor, because you really want it all in that one chamber where the water level really drops.
Cool.
I think the last question is, what would you use for flow in the 105.4?
We're going to use some MP40s on this one. Yes, MP40s. Neros would work perfectly well in that size tank. And you're going to want to go, when we're talking about like the MP10 versus MP40, due to the thickness of the glass, because it is rimless Starfire, it's a little bit thicker glass, is you're going to want to use the MP40s. So either Nero 5s or MP40s
Yeah, so
would be best
we went
for
out
that.
all out. No expense was spared. We're MP40s and then the return pumps of Vectra M2.
Yep. So we can completely dial that in to exactly what flow we want.
Yeah.
But yeah, Neros or MP40s would be what I'd suggest for that size tank. So definitely get your questions in for next week. Email at askjess@waterboxaquariums.com.
Yep.
We'll get those on the air. And next week we're going to start looking at equipment.
Yes.
Yay!
That's
Getting
a fun
closer to
part.
actually filling this beautiful tank. This build's going to be absolutely amazing. Really excited about the equipment we're using and the plans we have for livestock. So definitely stay tuned.
Yep, we'll see you guys next week.
See you
Thank you
next
so
week.
Thank
Bye.
you.